Welcome to today's Vexploration on habit modification. I'm Brent Peckover, and I'll be guiding you through this Vexploration. We have sequenced this Vexploration first in your ongoing learning journey to help provide you the tools to make lasting change in your life. The information we will provide in future Vexplorations can have a huge impact on you both personally and professionally. However, none of this information will have any impact if you don't put it to use by integrating it into your daily routines. This module is to help develop these skills. It should be noted that while these tools can help you change your life, knowing and using the tools are two different things. As Marshall Goldsmith, a noted author and coach on the subject of personal change, says, "Achieving meaningful and lasting change may be simple, simpler than we imagine, but simple is far from easy." In nature, everything is about conserving energy. Nature trades energy for complexity. Decision-making takes a great deal of energy. To speed up reaction time, which increases a creature's likelihood of eating or not being eaten, and to save energy, which is helpful when food is scarce, your brain identifies common decisions and processes which it can convert into habits. It stores these habits in a completely separate part of the brain, known as the basal ganglia. This is the part of your brain located close to the top of your brainstem in the center of your head. Habits simplify our lives. They occur without us even thinking about them. The brain works to identify a familiar situation, looks to see if it has a habit to address that situation, and if so, then engages it and goes on autopilot until either something unusual catches our attention or the habit routine comes to an end. When you put your shoes on, do you find yourself thinking about which shoe to tie first? I'll bet you didn't even think about the steps you needed to follow to tie your shoes. Do you recall this morning giving any thought to if you should brush your teeth before, in, or after the shower? Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit recounts an interesting story about Eugene Pauly. Eugene had previously suffered from viral encephalitis, which had caused him to lose much of his short-term memory. Anything that occurred beyond the last minute or so was completely forgotten. If you cannot remember things beyond the last 60 seconds, is it still possible to develop new habits? To test if Eugene was forming new habits, medical researchers took 16 different shaped objects and glued them to cardboard rectangles. They then divided the objects into pairs. Within each pair, they randomly placed a sticker on the bottom of one shape that read correct. Eugene was presented with each pair of objects and asked to select the one with the correct sticker underneath. Most people can memorize the correct item in a few rounds. Monkeys can memorize all the correct items after 8 to 10 days. Eugene couldn't remember any of the correct items, no matter how many times he did the test. He repeated the test twice a week for months. However, after 28 days of training, Eugene chose the correct object 85% of the time. After 36 days, this increased to 95%. Eugene was dumbfounded at his performance. He couldn't recall doing this test ever before, yet he instinctively knew which item to choose. Habits control our lives when we are not consciously exerting our higher level thinking. This is why environment is so important to our success. Our environment can influence our behavior, often by impacting which habits get exercised. Want to stop snacking on cookies? Make a conscious effort not to buy them. Want to watch less TV? Get rid of the TV. Want to praise your employees more? Put yourself in an environment where you can become aware of their day-to-day successes more easily. Have you ever heard the axiom, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with"? The common environment plays a large part in this. The Power of Habit introduces the idea of a habit loop. The habit loop consists of 3 parts: the cue or pattern that the brain uses to determine it should trigger the habit, the routine that makes up the habit, and the reward the brain receives for performing the habit. The reward is typically a positive. If you have ever tried to stop a habit, you know it is extremely difficult, and you are only successful as long as you can avoid the environmental trigger or exert the Herculean will to suppress the craving for the reward. If you love cookies and the supplier drops off a box of freshly baked cookies to your office and you leave them on the corner of your desk, you know what I'm talking about. Typically, these efforts of denial without changing the environment are unsuccessful in the long term. However, a far more successful approach is to change the routine. Keep the cue and the reward, but achieve the reward through a more desirable routine. Starting to feel the itch for a cigarette? Chew on a piece of nicotine gum. Or better yet, go for a jog and replace the nicotine hit with an endorphin hit. Both provide a similar reward to the brain. Marshall Goldsmith in Mark Ryder's book, Triggers, proposes that habits can be interrupted, if only for a brief second, allowing you the opportunity to make a conscious decision on whether to engage the habit this time or choose a different course of action. This is accomplished through self-monitoring. The key is to embed the self-monitoring into the habit. How does one do this? Through the use of daily active questions. What are active questions? These are questions which you define and answer, which look to capture your level of effort towards your desired goal. This is the concept that you get what you measure. Now I know what you're thinking. The world is full of people who have tried to reach their goals and failed. However, what is unique about this is that you are checking yourself for progress on a daily basis. Do you feel you did everything you could today to move yourself closer to your goals? Even if you cheat and lie and give yourself top marks when you don't deserve it, you'll know you cheated yourself, and it will fester until either you do something about it and start moving forward, or you quit. You either achieve your goal, or you have to admit to yourself that you're a quitter. We're basically building a change habit. The cue is the question. The self-monitoring to activate the change to other habits is the routine, and the self-satisfaction of scoring yourself well is the reward. Active questions typically start with, "Did I do my best to?" For example, the following are the 6 questions Marshall Goldsmith uses to measure employee engagement. Did I do my best to set clear goals today? Did I do my best to make progress towards my goals today? Did I do my best to find meaning today? Did I do my best to be happy today? Did I do my best to build positive relationships today? Did I do my best to fully engage today? The process is that at the end of each day, you sit down and rate yourself against each of these areas. Now, you may be asking yourself, why do they need to be active? Because humans are great excuse-making machines. If we succeed, it was because of our skill. If we fail, it was because of things beyond our control. I know those cookies on your desk smell so good, so over the next 2 hours you will mindlessly eat all of them. It isn't your fault. It would be rude for them to go to waste. However, if you had a goal of, did I do my best to reduce my sugar intake, it might have driven you to move the cookies to the staff room for everyone to enjoy, and more importantly, get them out of arm's reach. Marshall recounts an interesting story about a girl named Emily who was headed for a culinary arts career. She struggled with her weight for most of her life. She ate poorly and mindlessly, and as a result, was at least 100 pounds overweight. One day, Emily decided to do something about it. Whole Foods, her employer, was having a 40% off sale for employees. She decided to try a juice diet. She had tried many diets in the past, none of which had led to success. To help increase her chances of success, she reached out to a small group of friends and family and told them of her plan, thereby increasing her level of commitment and hoping they would provide her support through the process. As luck would have it, Emily's uncle Mark was Marshall's writing partner, so he was well versed in the mechanics of the daily questions. He explained the concept to Emily and helped her draft the questions. He also served as her coach, and he would follow up nightly to see how she was doing. While Emily's list consisted of 6 questions, I'm only going to focus on the 2 most relevant. Did I do my best to stick to my juice cleanse? And did I do my best to exercise today? In the first 12 days, Emily rated herself a 10 for sticking to her juice cleanse. However, in the first 12 days, she rated herself 11 zeros and a 2 when it came to exercise. On the 12th day, her uncle pointed out that a goal cannot be important if you ignore it for nearly 2 weeks. Why have it at all on your list? This was the wake-up call Emily needed to do something about her lack of engagement in exercise. The next day, she joined the local YMCA and took up swimming laps for an hour. 2 weeks later, she also took up Bikram yoga. By the end of 4 weeks, she had lost 35 pounds, and by day 63, she had lost 56 pounds. As her 60-day diet program came to an end, she drafted a new set of questions for the next phase of her journey to help her keep the weight off. I'm not recommending the juice cleanse as a dieting program. However, you can see how these questions, along with having to answer them to someone else, her uncle, on a daily basis, enabled Emily to change her behavior to achieve her goal. How do active questions work to achieve personal change? In 79 studies, consisting of 2,537 participants, performance against 6 questions, 37% reported an improvement on all 6. 65% improved on at least 4 items. 89% improved on at least 1 item. 11% didn't change on any items. And 0.4% got worse on at least 1 item. Consider how hard it is to get adults to change their behavior. I'd say this process is worth implementing. So, how will you achieve lasting change in your leadership performance? How will you take what you learn each week as you explore and integrate it into your daily routine? I'd propose you spend your reflection time after this session starting to draft your daily questions, and look for someone to review your scores with every 24 hours. Marshall Goldsmith provides coaching to top leaders around the world in commercial, social profit, and military. Yet even he has a woman named Kate call him every day to listen to his answers to his personal list of daily questions. The simple act of having to report his performance to her is enough to motivate him to keep pushing forward each day on those things he has deemed important. If you need a suggestion for a daily question, I'd like to propose, did I do my best to get the most out of what I've learned from my Go Succeed leadership explorations? To that end, I'd like to remind you of the unrelenting role environment plays in performance. Successful leaders realize this and anticipate how the environment will shape their behavior and results. So please keep this in mind when deciding where and when you are exploring, and the steps you will take to ensure your focus remains on the task at hand. Develop a daily question routine, control your environment, and go succeed. I'm Brent Peckover.